All right, so you want to homeschool. I'm here to help parents learn how to homeschool and how to be of service to you. So I will be connecting my website down below. I will be talking about mothering issues, homeschooling, starting to get my nonprofit going with helping mothers. Wednesdays, I plan on being right around 2 to 3 if I can get this going, starting free classes for moms and teaching mothers how to homeschool and taking questions, etc. And if you want to leave a donation at my website, you can do that. And then eventually I'll be having courses for a charge and charge people for my services. So let's start with why do you want to homeschool? Helping you homeschool here. There's not a lot of good options with everything going on politically for parents. So I really want to help parents be able to homeschool their families. Um, when I started off, there wasn't really much at all for support. I had just gone to church and I was like, oh, wait a minute, you can homeschool your kids? I never heard of such a thing. What do you mean you can homeschool? So, my son, I had him in a stroller, and I was now, after I got saved, after the second time, going up to church, I was like, okay, I'm going to walk up to church from now on. And he was only like 2 or 3 months old, maybe, and we were going to church together. And as I went to church, there was an invitation to a MOPS class, and my classes will be somewhat like this on child training and stuff. And this lady was renowned who was teaching these classes, and I was just really impressed with her. She had 5 kids, they lived in a farmhouse, and I'm like, wow. So, one of the things she did for me was she had let me use she had a bookstore like a library up in her attic, so I got to go to her farmhouse and just borrow all these books I never heard of before. I mean, real good books teaching moral character and stuff for your children, right? She had homeschool books, everything. So I would go over there, grab some books, read them, and then come back and get some more books, and she let me do that. But as I started off, I was like, what do you mean you can homeschool? I never heard of such a thing. So I graduated early from high school by myself. I went to a counselor once, said, I think I'm going to graduate early. She's like, show me a plan. I'm like, okay. So I'm going to use my study halls to do any homework. And I already didn't really do homework. I just answered my history questions right in class as the teacher was talking. So I didn't really do homework. I just did it right then and there in class. And so I graduated early, went to college, knew that was not for me, then went to hairdressing school. And I graduated while I was pregnant with my firstborn son. And as I graduated, I'm like, geez, this is great. I've been wanting to be a mother. I didn't think I could, and I was thrilled. So I had gone to a pregnancy center for a free pregnancy test, and yeah, I was definitely pregnant. So I started using resources. I used the free car seat. I had used the free pregnancy test. And I'm like, I'm just going to get the help that I need to do this. And so as I was starting off, I'm like, you know what? Daycare is not for me. There's no point in me having my kids if I can't spend time with them. And so we decided to be very minimalist and to go without, if need be, in order for me to stay home with the kids. We really wanted them to have the best upbringing we could give them. We wanted time with them. So I'm like, I will use resources to make it happen. And that's what I did. I used resources to homeschool. So I don't know why people don't get this, but if you use your resources and actually stay, at a certain level at the poverty line, you actually make more. So, so I was like, yeah, my time, I'm going to turn things around with the values that I've had, and I want different values for my kids, and I'm going to do this. So how do we do this? The first step is we want to know our why. Wait a minute, I think someone's at the door because I ordered something. Hold on. Let me check. Okay, not yet. So, how do we homeschool? What do we do? So, I was like, okay, I'm going to homeschool. I want time with my kids. So you want to know your why. You want it to be fun. You have a lot of flexibility. You can actually do a better job than a school can. I'm like, why would I work for a school? Why would I give my time to taking care of my family and then go work for a school? Go give the extra time to the school. So my son is a public school teacher, but I'm like, I've been to public school. I don't really want this for my kids. So we see a lot of behavioral problems now in the school system and everything. He comes home with a lot of stories. So I'm like, okay, let's homeschool. So it was a conviction I had. Later, I would have the conviction to home birth, but this was a conviction that I was called to this. It wasn't just let me just do this. No, it was my Christian values now saying let me homeschool. So, as I learned, I was just like, how do I do this? So what you want to do, one of the first things you want to do is you want to look at state laws. So I was homeschooling in New Hampshire and I was looking at the laws and I'm like, they have to be learning according to age and ability and making progress each year. And I'm like, wow, that's a big interpretation. Learning according to age and ability. What does that mean? So I looked up, the Moors. I looked up Ruth Beechick. I looked up Charlotte Mason. And I'm like, okay, so they say this, and then they say this, and they say by age 6 they should be doing this. So what ended up happening was I made my own curriculum eventually. And I'm just like, I'm going with the experts. I'm not going with the school district per se. And then I just used the school district guidelines. So if you look at the guidelines, go to the library, look up, what they learn usually in 11th grade, 12th grade, whatever. Use that as a guide. So then I was like, okay, so I'm not even going to do the testing, the standardized testing, because it isn't going to match my curriculum. And I'm like, why would I teach to them? Why would I, if I'm homeschooling and I'm free to homeschool and I don't take any money from the state, why would I feel I need to do what the school does? So what I ended up doing was, rather than the standardized testing, I had submitted my portfolios each year to a teacher to evaluate them, and that is definitely legal. So what you want to do, not so much now in New Hampshire, but before, you had to submit a letter of intent that you were going to homeschool, which books you were going to use, and which subjects you're going to teach. So all you really needed to do was just say, I'm teaching math, first grade math, kindergarten math, take the book's curriculum, write out some things that you would be covering. Now in New Hampshire, last I knew, and I will start keeping track of what different states do too for you all, we really didn't need a notification. A one-time deal now. You're going to homeschool and you don't have to let them know unless there's a change of anything else. Then I would take the portfolios. I would keep track every month, like daily records pretty much of everything we did. Take the months, add them up, and then do a yearly overview. And then I would submit that to a teacher. The teacher I had was a childhood, what was she? Oh, professional childhood educator. So she had her, my hair keeps sticking up. She had her degree in childhood education. So she knew childhood development. She knew her stuff. So I submitted stuff to her. And she met my kids and everything, and she knew who they were, and I would submit a box of their stuff with experiments we did and their portfolios, and then I would send her evaluation, a copy of it to the state each year, to the school district, right? So that's what I did. And with that flexibility, I did a lot of fun stuff. So I'm going to be talking about things you can do, examples of things you can do in each grade, as I go along. But that is just the basics for now. So just look at your state laws, get a curriculum going, write down ideas you want to do, whether it's nature walks, which I loved. We used to walk around the neighborhood. Charlotte Mason, if you look her up, she talks about this. Take a notebook, have your kids go outside and do a lot of observation work. A lot of the nature walks were just, our exercise and talking about things, watching the birds, being able to name the birds as, young kids, being able to look at the cardinals, the blue jays, buy some seeds at the local store, put the seeds in your yard, do some bird watching with them. When they're out there and they're like, oh, what's this? You're like, that's a grasshopper, or what's this? And you can buy those cute little bug collection things that they can collect their bugs. There is just a million ideas, and I'll be talking about this stuff, but just get your state law down and that structure first, and that is a good start. The next thing I would say is your philosophy. Are you going to be traditional, eclectic? Unschooling's popular. I ended up doing that in the end with some guidance. I didn't totally unschool. Get that down. What are your goals as a family? What do you want to teach your kids? Do you want to teach them about God? That was a huge, huge goal of mine. If not anything, and even if they came out, as dumb as a lot of kids do out of public school, let me teach them about a creator. So what are your goals? Is it teaching them? I taught them about marriage. I taught them about how valuable children are. I taught them family values. I taught them hard work. They're all hard workers to this day. I taught them to have a passion and a love for learning. That is something I've always had in my life. Ever since I started having my kids, I just love to learn. Teach them community stuff. We used to have little coloring books with, the firemen and the policemen, and we had the New Hampshire state history. We used to have coloring books for that. And it doesn't have to cost a lot. Other than the workbooks, you can go to the library, pick up a book. Interlibrary loan is what I did most of the time. Take a pen and paper, put on a notebook what that book is saying, and put your subjects down and what you're going to teach. Okay, that's what I got for now, guys. Thanks for joining me.